Two options that we had was essentially keep this person and just let our culture be the way it is because he doesn't want to change. Or second option is let this person go, lose a chunk of revenue, be even further in the red, and have to find a way to fight our way out before the month ends and we have to make payroll again. Of course, I do expect people that come to this company to have a certain level of technical skill, but we hire more for the attitude rather than the aptitude because we believe that the aptitude can be trained and the attitude is more important. When you build a business, you should build a business that can run without you and that you can sell. So detach yourself from the business so that you don't eventually become a slave to your own thing. You don't eventually just create a job, an exceptionally hard job which you don't make money on. As smart as I want to think that I am, or as smart as anyone wants to think that they are, it's not possible for you to really get anywhere unless you have your team supporting you or your customers supporting you. So yeah, just be a good human being.
If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube for more. Also, if you want to become a better founder by learning from founder and failed startup stories, don't forget to subscribe to my free newsletter. Check it out at therunway.ventures. Let's get into it. Hey James, thank you so much for being here, man. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Edmund. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, same here, man. Super honored to finally talk to you. I think it's the first time that we meet here.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, right, James Chu is actually the co-founder and CEO of Repair.sg. Some of you might have already seen his vans on the road, the yellow van, the eye-catching one. So Repair.sg is the Singapore's go-to handyman service for electrical, plumbing, ventilation, and recently you also added air conditioning services, right? So what really began as a one-man passion in 2016 has grown into a multi-van now with 20 plus staff operation that serve over, I think, 20,000 customers, all while doubling down on transparent pricing and customer-first services. Honestly, I really resonate with that line, transparent pricing and customer-first services, because I myself, when I order, home services, these two are my biggest concern. They really overcharge me, when they come in and just raise the price suddenly. But I'm happy to chat more, to learn more about what you have been up to before that, right? Could you maybe just share more about your background, your story, how you got started, and then your journey of building Repair.sg?
Of course. So I started 9 years ago. So it's almost year 10. I mean, we're nearly out of a year already. So when I started, I was just ending. Sorry, not just ending. I just ended my O-levels. So I was waiting to enter my polytechnic. When we started, we didn't really start with the whole intention of really doing this like 10 years on. But a bit of backstory is basically we started when we were waiting, or rather I was waiting to enter poly. My brother was still in secondary school. And we started this as more of like a hobby project, just trying to figure things out, just have fun. Because we always knew that we wanted to build our own business. We didn't, however, think that this was a business we were going to build. It was just something that we did so that we could kind of, I guess, practice or like have fun a little bit, because we always enjoyed the process of building something, like serving customers and things along those lines. So it's always been fun for us. And after that, I went on to do my polytechnic. I got a business diploma. I graduated at the bottom of my cohort, by the way. I don't think that really matters. And I didn't enter uni after that. I just went straight to doing this full time. And when my brother was done with NS, I think 2 years ago, then he also joined me full time. But before that, he was also just alongside me doing this for 5-6 years already by then.
Oh, this is crazy. And then what happens next after that? And then after he joined you, and then
So he joined me at the very beginning. Like, he was always there. But he was in school, and then there was NS, but he was always alongside me doing this. This whole business has existed for about 9.5 years now, but I wouldn't say it was truly a business until maybe about 3-4 years ago. Before that, it was really more of a passion project. It was something that we did on the side that made a little bit of money, that we kind of just saw as a way to get through our days, until we found something which we, I guess, enjoy even more, that was cool or something like that. But along the way, we kind of realized that we do enjoy doing this because since we were young, we've always been into doing anything which allowed us to solve problems with both our hands and our brains. So this could be things like building Legos or just helping fix things around the house for fun. So there was some point along the journey where we realized that, hey, we have something here that is a working business. We are trying to find something that we want to build through our 20s and maybe 30s. And why are we looking for all these like cool tech things when we already have something here that
Mm.
works? So then we decided to double down on it, just really go all out on it. And it was a very painful journey of a lot of just messing around because we never had any mentors. So it's really a lot of trial and error, very painful trial and error. And eventually, through, I guess, being able to bear the pain of it all, we got to the point we're at right now, which is, I would say, better. Um, People might see it as a successful business now, but in my opinion, it's more, we're just getting started. It is not a business that is like rolling in money or anything like that, but it's a business which is fulfilling for me to do on a day-to-day basis. If everything was on fire in the business, I would wake up happy to fight those fires. And I think that's how I see finding something worthwhile to work on as.
Wow. I mean, like, and what is the monthly like revenue now for you?
Okay,
For
so right now we are
yeah.
closing in on about, okay, it depends on month to month. If we're
Okay.
averaging
Average. Yeah.
averaging what we've been doing this year is about 200,000 a month. That's the revenue. So last year we did about close to two. I think it was published in a newspaper. Yeah, it was published in a newspaper. So it was like 1.7, 1.8. And then this year, so far, our average is about $200,000. But the surprising thing about the increase in revenue is that
Mm.
it I think you've caught me at kind of a very interesting time because we're kind of in the midst of rediscovering who we are. Because while our revenue has gone up quite significantly from where it was, say, 2 years ago, which is about like 40, 50,000 a month, um, the margins also dropped a lot because we kind of looked away from what we were previously looking at, which is just exclusively B2C stuff. A lot of things that were very non-repeatable, very nuanced, a lot of complexity to something that's more predictable, albeit lower margin. So yeah, I think that's a over answer to your question.
Okay, there's so much stuff I want to answer, but before that, I think I just want to go back, take the time machine, go back to where you and also Amos, your brothers, started.
Yes.
Tell me the story of how you landed your first paying customer because you said that you started with literally knowing nothing about, electrical or plumbing services and all these.
Yes.
When you had no experience, how do you land your first paying client? Because they will ask you to, hey, have you done this before and all this? Like how do you, could you walk me through the process how you landed the first one? Yeah,
Sure, sure. It's a very complex answer, but I'll try to
yeah.
simplify it a little bit. So we
Mm,
started this website as a marketplace. We started as a marketplace because we saw companies like Service Hero, Gautim,
Gao
HelpLink, and all these.
Oh,
Yeah, Gautim, which you just
yes.
your blog
Yeah, okay.
recently. So we saw marketplaces like that, and we were like, wow, those people are operating in a space which and they are solving problems in a space which we enjoy personally. So we kind of wanted to be a service provider in the space, like doing it personally ourselves. But we also realized that, well, I mean, one, we were very, very young, and two, we didn't have the skill or the family connections to people that actually knew how to do all of these things. So we started off as a marketplace as a way to be connected with people who can then teach us. So our first customer was not actually a customer, like the first person that paid us was not a person that needed something fixed in their house. The first person that paid us was actually a service provider, which we found on the newspapers classified section. We sold leads to them, and then they then fulfilled the service for the customer. And it's through that relationship that we built with a lot of these service providers that we then kind of just asked them, hey, can I just follow you along and just see what you guys do and kind of learn from you? And that through that, we then learned how to do it ourselves, then eventually move a step at a time towards fulfilling the service ourselves.
So basically, you just tag along, and they allow it, like for you to tag along.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, because we were giving them customers, so they were like, "Ah,
okay,
okay, sure." And the interesting thing about this space is that there's this study with by a government body that says that the average blue collar worker is 57 years old, and a lot of them don't have like a second generation or like their children to take over the business that they've started. So a lot of them are going down three routes. Number one is they're just closing down and retiring. Second one is they're selling to like private equity and things like that. And the third one, okay, it's not really a third one, it's just more of the route I went down, which is I became friends with a lot of these uncles, and they did eventually like close down their business and stuff. But then before they did that, they kind of took us as like the son they never had, and they just taught us what they knew. And then when they decided to eventually retire, they would then refer the customers to us.
wow. It's kind of like apprentice, and when they
Yeah,
retire,
yeah.
basically you kind of like took over their clients, serve them, continue serving them. It's kind of like
Hmm.
their legacy. I don't know for
Kind of.
them.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. And this is how you got your first client, and how. So you mentioned you call it passion project for the first few years, and then only call it like business, 3 to 5 years, 3 to 4 years ago when Amos joined. So during the first 4 years, how did you actually survive and build the so-called passion project until to a stage where you can call it business? Like what happened during that first 4 years?
I think that very quickly we were able, it was a business. Like it made enough money to be a business very quickly, like through the marketplace model, through just operating as a website that kind of helped other service provider find customers. But the switch from it being a passion project to a business was more of one within my brother and I, like our mentality rather than any change in the business itself. Because we saw this as a thing that made money, but not as something which we wanted to dedicate our time and effort into. But then we kind of got out of the thinking that we had to work on something cool and something like techie and something that is like whatever is hyped at the moment, and that building a traditional business is actually can be cool as well and fulfilling. So it was when we realized that we could find fulfillment in this uncool business that we then operated it as if it were a business.
And you started with one van, one single van, right? Back then.
Yeah, it was a rental at the start. So
Okay.
after it was a marketplace, we then rented one van. We had one employee as well, which is um, surprisingly also one of the persons that we just met shadowing one of these service providers. So it was a lot of just messing around and taking opportunities as they came. So we didn't intentionally go down the route that we went down, but we are kind of lucky and grateful that we did go down the route we went down.
And now how many vans do you have?
Right now we have eight.
Eight. And do you have a
Yeah.
target to like how many vans you want to get this year?
Well,
That you yeah.
yeah, so I started the year with a goal to get to like maybe go to 15, 20
Mm.
this year. But to be honest, last year we added five vans. So we were
Mm.
at three before last year. We added five last year. And this year I've not added anything at all, just because I'm in that shift between kind of like figuring ourselves out. So the revenue has increased quite significantly since last year, but the number of vans haven't increased. The team hasn't increased very much. And the whole reason for that is because we're kind of shifting our whole focus from something that's very nuanced, something that's very unpredictable, something that's not recurring, to a service that's more recurring, more predictable, less nuanced, and just easier to productize and scale.
Are you talking about shifting from B2C to B2B?
Essentially, yes. Essentially, yes.
Okay, and how is it going now? Like what is the game plan?
The game plan is so. I think that what I've realized is that B2C and B2B are very fundamentally different. And before last year, I never showed my face anywhere. I never had to talk to any customers or anything like that unless I served them myself. And with B2B, I'm realizing that we need a point of contact. I need to be the face of the business. I need to do a lot of things that I didn't do before. So the game plan right now is just kind of to brand ourselves as the people that can help companies take care of their facilities and do that very well at a good price. And more importantly, be reliable because that's what's more important for them.
And you are mentioning you are in the midst of shifting this to B2B. Does that mean you no longer do B2C, or it's just not one of your focus, but you still do it?
I do it, I'm just not growing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you beginning to see some spike once you shifted to B2B because you say that the monthly revenue now is like much higher than.
Yes, it is.
Okay, before this B2B, I just want to learn. Could you tell me how you scale your revenue from zero to like 2 mil until last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so last year you hit revenue of 2 mil. How do you actually scale from nothing to like this stage?
I think I probably have the most boring answer of all the people you've
Mm.
interviewed, and that is just slowly over 9 years.
Mm.
Because that really was the answer.
Mm.
If I were to do it all over again, I would have been able to do it much faster because I kind of know what I would have done differently this time. But the truth of how I got from 0 to 2 million over the first 8 years is one customer at a time, without doing much different, just kind of focusing on taking care of every customer and trusting that that customer will come back to us because we operate in a space which is a need, and also trusting that that customer will then refer us to their friends and family if we do a good enough service.
Is there any particular channel or tactic that surprisingly brought in most of your revenue for your business?
Of course, at the start it was SEO. So search engine optimization, that was number one. From 2016 to 2020, that was the thing that absolutely like crushed it for us. It brought in almost 100% of our leads, and it helped us get a very quick head start in a space which is honestly quite crowded, even though it's a very traditional and aging business. And but today, I think what's surprising is that the opposite is true. So it is not anything tech that gets us the most right now. It's the traditional media that does very well. And what I mean by that is like flyers and
Flyers.
just knocking door to door. Like
Okay.
if we have time, or if my people have time, or if I have time, or I'm at a mall and I don't have anything to do, I'll just like walk into stores and be like, "Hi, we do this. Here's my card. Please call me." And that it works very well for us. It works at a far greater rate than people would expect, especially if you have a service which can solve a real pain point at the moment which you approach when you approach them. And for me, it's quite high the likelihood that there is something they need fixed when I approach them.
Wow, you don't even need to pay ads. You just spend some money to print out
Yeah,
their flyers, just walk to their stores and like just get leads
yeah,
coming in.
yeah. And the thing is, I spend a lot on ads right now, like a lot on ads, and it is the lowest performing thing for me right now. Even though we spend a lot, it's still net positive for us,
Mm-mm.
but it's just even from a month to month basis, we can see the margins going down and down and the cost per lead going up and up.
High performing one right now is what you said, traditional media like flyers.
Yeah.
Um, and you also do SEO, right? No?
I still do SEO, I still do
Okay.
run paid ads, I still do everything that a modern business would do,
Mm.
but everything that I think a modern business would do or a modern digital marketing firm would suggest are the things that bring in the least amount for us.
Okay, that's interesting to know. Do you see similar pattern across other traditional?
I don't know for
Mm.
sure, but
Mm.
I know that my friends who are in similar spaces have seen
Mm.
a similar shift. And my theory would be that because now everyone thinks that they have to be on social media, they have to run ads online, that all of the focus is there, and there
Yeah.
has been a complete shift so far that people are now underestimating what can be done with just, I don't know, just saying hello to someone, you know? So yeah, that's what I would think. I don't know for sure.
Well, this is a powerful shift, right? I agree that a lot of people now are running ads. It's very competitive now, the CPA, the
Hmm.
costs, and all this, and the
Hmm.
attention of audience split to so many ad buyers, right? And
Hmm.
on the other hand, like traditional media, for example, flyers, or maybe just go out to certain events and meet people, shake hand, say
Hmm.
hello. That could
Yeah,
be a very underrated
yeah,
channel
yeah,
which works for
yeah.
you.
Very
Interesting.
underrated. Very underrated.
Talking about the revenue side, and then are you also, because you mentioned even with 2 mil plus revenue, but then you also said that you have a low profit margin. Like, where does the cost come in?
Three things. So one is human,
Yeah.
second is ads, and third is just the overall infrastructure. So I'll break that down a little bit.
Mm.
So okay, ads is quite straightforward. Just how much it costs to acquire customers. The second one is the labor. So labor is expensive. So we have locals, we have foreign workers. With locals, of course, I found that people in this space generally demand a slightly higher pay for the same amount or same responsibilities as they would have in a more attractive role. Does that make sense? So a person I found, if the choices are A and B, you work in a plumbing company versus
Mm.
a tech company, you have the same responsibilities and the same pay. They would rather, of course, take the cooler one, the tech one, rather than the plumbing company. So as a result, I've had to pay slightly higher
Mm.
just for the same roles and responsibilities. So that's number one. And then for my foreign workers, a lot of people like to think that foreign workers are cheap. But the fact of the matter is that the reason we have a lot of foreign workers is because it is very difficult to find locals to do the work that we do. And when we get a foreign worker, not only do we have to pay their basic salary, we have to pay for their levy, we have to pay for their insurances, we have to pay for their housing, and that all adds up to basically the same as if I hired a local Singaporean. So labor is a very, very big expense for us.
Like few thousand per month? Are we talking about few K per month or?
For per person or
Yeah, per person.
easily a foreign worker, if you include everything, all the miscellaneous stuff, you could be paying them, or not paying them, but your expenditure as a
Yeah.
company could be like 4 or 5 thousand a month.
Wow.
It could be that high. Like if you
Okay,
add in
okay.
OTs and all that. So it's very, very bad. Okay, it's not bad lah. They deserve what they have paid. But it's high. It's high and it's an amount that most people won't expect, especially when they think of how much they think a foreign worker makes. And if you multiply that over the number of people that we have, that is a lot of money every month.
So the way for you to make back the cost that you incur, that means
Mhm.
your utilization rate per pax needs to
It's
be
very
almost
important.
maximized every
Yes,
month,
yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why the B2B is very good for us because B2C is okay. Think of your house.
Hmm.
How often does your light spoil? Like,
Rare? I don't know, like, I don't know,
eh,
once a month or something.
once a month. Your light spoils once a month?
I mean, I just try to average it out, but actually it's even rarer than that, right? Maybe
Very
once in
infrequent,
few
right?
months.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, and you don't know how often it'll spoil and when it'll spoil. And even if it's spoiled, you sometimes don't really care that it's spoiled. So it's if we when we operate in B2C, we have to go overcome these challenges of having people that even if we win them over as service providers to a customer, like they love us, they still won't come back to us, say, on a monthly basis. They'll just come back to us when they really feel like they need us. But for a B2B customer, let's say you run a restaurant, your light is blinking in your customer's face. Even if you don't want to fix it, you kind of have to fix it. And when you run a lot of restaurants, you kind of the frequency in which things happen, which needs fixing, is a lot greater, a lot more predictable. So that helps a lot with our utilization, and in turn helps a lot with my overall sanity. So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. So that means basically one of the reasons why you shifted to back to the B2B space is because
Mhm.
um the pain point the pain is higher and the
Yes,
frequency of the pain is higher.
yes,
That's why
exactly,
they are willing to pay higher and you got
exactly,
a recurring cash flow as well.
exactly.
And for the B2B customers that you serving, are they mostly I don't know, co-working offices or restaurants or like some industrial areas? Yeah.
We have a lot of large F&Bs. So Coffee Bean is our biggest. We also serve like Hai Di Lao. We also serve like basically, if you walk into a mall, you look at F&Bs.
Yeah.
Um,
Most of them.
okay, right. Okay, not most of them. I
Mm.
hope most of them
Yeah.
someday, but maybe 1 in 10. 1 in 10 right now would have called us at least once, and we hope to then build a relationship out over time.
Do you have a fixed price point to charge them, or like it depends on the scope?
So that's the hard part about B2C. B2C is very nuanced. B2B is very standardized because yes, it is quite fixed. So if you kind of want a service within this amount of time for this list of things, it's quite standard across all of our customers. And the only way those prices go up or down is if, for example, you need us to do it at only in the middle of the night, or if you have 100 restaurants, of course I can give you a better price. But other than those factors, it's more or less the same across all of our customers.
Okay, so is that like a recurring basis that they need you to be there on, last week of the month, or is kind of like ad hoc basis if they need someone to fix, then they call you up, or both?
It's both. So we have ad hoc services like when the light starts blinking in the customer's faces, or their kitchen tap explodes, or whatever. So those
Okay.
are ad hoc. And then there's also the recurring stuff like aircons need to be serviced a lot more regularly for commercial. So a lot of commercial places get their aircon service once a month just because they're on maybe like 18 hours a day and every single day. And those services are recurring, and with the recurring that comes a lot better utilization.
I see. Cool. And right now, as your business is booming, right, I think you have so many leads and customer queries almost every day. How do you handle those inbound queries while making sure the experience is good enough and then you can still close the deals? Do you use any software or you do it manually now?
The answer is by trading our sanity for it, because right now it's very manual. I think we have been working with a few people, like even some of your friends, with integrating AI into our business to kind of ease the workload. But right now it's very manual. We have a very decent sized portion of our team that just exclusively deals with customers, whether this be messaging them on WhatsApp or calling them or even sourcing for parts or going out for site visits. So it's a very human, very manual process right now that I definitely wish to make more efficient with time with current emerging technologies. And it's also, to be completely honest, one of the areas where I am a bit worried, because a lot of my traditional competitors are, of course, I guess, still quite equal to me in terms of their operational capacity. There are a lot of players coming in, entering the spaces that I'm in, that have tech first background, backed by VCs and a lot of money in the bank, that have the resources to invest in a lot of these capabilities that we don't have. And we are kind of playing catch up right now, to be completely honest. And yeah, it's very manual right now.
Wait, you say there are many VC-backed companies coming here doing something similar?
Yeah, so
Okay.
okay, not B2B stuff. So more on the B2C stuff. So
B2C.
companies like Urban Company, for example,
Yeah,
which I think are doing quite a good job. I mean, they're $1 billion companies, so
they're everywhere on MRT, whenever I go to MRT, I see the stuff
yeah,
there. Okay.
yeah, I see the stuff every single day.
Wow. Okay, interesting. And so manually, how big is your team to handle all these
We have five
queries though?
people that
Just to handle queries and
just
sourcing.
operations. Yeah, yes,
Wow. Okay. So they are not technicians, like they are just sitting in the office to like handle all these queries.
yeah, yeah. That eats into our margins also. So yeah.
Are you like thinking to integrate tech or software anytime soon to make it more efficient, or how do you see tech um how do you see the integration between tech slash AI
hmm
and Repair.sg now? Because you said you're also trying to integrate, playing catch up and all this. How are you doing this,
hmm
or do you have what is the plan to do it?
My plan right now is just so I have we both have a few friends lah that are also in the space that do AI stuff that I've been speaking with for some time. So one of them runs a cleaning business, and one of them used to be from one of these platforms. So I'm just kind of speaking with them, seeing what can work, and then hopefully integrating one of their products soon.
Okay. Will you be concerned if there's an AI replying your potential leads or customers somehow sending the wrong things or quoting the wrong price and all these.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I think that's why I've been very hesitant on this because I have spoken with some of the leaders
Mm,
from competing companies that do tens
mm,
and tens of millions, or even I believe they're approaching $100 million in revenue. And they have a very AI first approach. And the numbers that I got from them is that something like one out of every 20 or 25
mm.
chats AI gets completely wrong, and the customers get kind of annoyed. And I right now am very hesitant to have those kind of rates in which AI messes up. But
Mm,
I also acknowledge that the speed in which the technology is progressing is very quick. That number will probably go down significantly over the short term future. And also, if I think about my current processes, which are very human, humans make mistakes too. So if it goes to a place where it's like AI makes a mistake one out of every 100 customers, I'm pretty sure we make mistakes in one in every 100 customers as well. So I initially had a lot of fear and objection to this because of the rate in which AI gets things wrong. But I think now that I'm drawing a direct comparison between humans can make error too, and so why aren't you letting AI make errors? Once I draw that comparison, I kind of am more at ease with the idea of it.
yeah, I guess probably it goes back to like, let's assume humans to make error, like in ideal world, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yes.
integrate AI into your operation.
Uh-huh.
The worst case scenario is probably 1 out of 20 will make mistake. Let's say there's the stats.
Yes.
And let's say that mistake costs you I don't know, 1,000
Hmm.
or 2,000 compared to you having a heavy ops and processors that cost you probably 10,000 a month
Yeah.
plus. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know, probably there's a perspective there. But I agree that the concern because if I were you in your shoes, I would be like, shit, you better don't mess up my list of customers using AI and
Yeah.
all these, right? So okay, that's interesting. But I also see, yeah, of course, a lot of our friends are in this space. They are building something super interesting and useful for traditional businesses like yourself
Uh-huh.
here. Um, I guess one maybe sidetrack a bit. The question that I want to ask is because right now you are very ops heavy with different teams doing different things. How do you maintain your SOP or processes to make sure that people follow that and just make the process way more efficient without you having to firefighting every day.
Our systems are in place,
Mm,
and so okay. First of all, we haven't grown much this year in terms of headcount, but we grew a lot last year. And we made it very clear from the initial stages, like even during the interviews, that when they come to this company, we expect them to always be customer first and to always follow the systems that we have in place over anything else, because we need a place where everything can be predictable, everything can be every day, all the data that we need can be present, and we can then solve anything when things need to be solved just by having the things in place. So it has really just okay. Let me put it another way. The way which we have done this is as simple as just having the systems in place and enforcing them as we should as the people leading the company.
when you say system, do you mean like documentation where they can always
Yes, so
refer to?
documents, systems, guides. We have tried our very, very best to document all of the processes that they would realistically face on a day-to-day basis. And we expect them to follow them as close as possible, wherever possible, so that 90% of the work that we do can be as simple as just whatever's in the book. There's still that 10% that exists where there is some firefighting involved that I'm very blessed to have a brother that enjoys doing that to handle. But I think I'm in a space where firefighting is not something that can be avoided completely just because of the number of moving parts. If we think of a restaurant, for example, the stakeholders involved, the people working in the store, the operations, the leaders of the company, us, our technicians, the shopping mall itself. So everyone has to be on the same page at all times. And if one person messes up, it doesn't have to be us. Everything can be messed up. So there's always going to be an element of firefighting.
When you say docs and guides, is it like just a Google Doc for them to like read through? Like, is there a WhatsApp message? Right? What?
Yeah, it's a Google Docs. It's a
Oh,
Google
it's a
Docs.
Google Doc for them.
It's a Google Docs, yeah.
So everyone that
And
you onboard, you kind of like ask them, okay, please read through the whole guide
yes,
before. Okay. Do they have a
yes,
field work
yes,
for test run or something so that you make sure that they
yes,
follow the okay?
yes. So every employee here that has been here for some time has been following those systems for some time. So
Mm.
every new person that onboards to this company just follows one of the other people, and then they will then teach them.
Tell me, how do you know that, okay, it's time to make my first hire? Was it
Mhm.
because you hit a bottleneck that you couldn't scale yourself? Like, at what point of time that you decided to make your first hire?
Okay, so we've always wanted to hire someone to fulfill the service. So while we enjoy doing the work ourselves, what stopped us from getting our first hire was simply having enough money to make sure that that hire had a fulfilling place to work that paid well enough. So the in the transition period between going from a marketplace to a service provider and then hiring our first person, the way we got there was simply just making sure we had enough money.
Hiring skilled technicians is super hard, right?
Mhm.
Like, especially in Singapore, because you also say it's hard to find
It
local
is.
people here to do that. Like, my question is maybe last year, right? Because you grew a lot, you hire more people last year.
Mhm.
How do you find these people? So this one, and what criteria and vetting steps they put in place to make sure that you hire the right people, or spot any red flags from candidates?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we're still very small as a company. So we have 20 plus people right now, but it's still small enough team that I can know everyone personally. I can speak with them every single day. So the best part about this business for me is that I know how to do everything that I expect them to do. And because of that, I can myself also then teach them. Of course, I do expect people that come to this company to have a certain level of technical skill, but we hire more for the attitude rather than the aptitude because we believe that the aptitude can be trained and the attitude is more important because I don't want there to be a person in my company which can do the work very well, but doesn't care for the customer, for example. Because what's important for us and what we believe is necessary for us to build a long-term business that lasts 20, 30, 40, maybe even outlast me, is the ability to have people that actually care for our customers. Because our customers are the reason we exist. The customers are the reason we even have any money to pay our employees, to do anything that we want to do. So that's the first thing, hiring for attitude over aptitude. And then the second thing with regards to red flags is sometimes it's hard, right? Some people can be very deceiving. Some people can be manipulative. And for us, it's just really taking them on for a trial period and really enforcing the probation period in our company. And we have very, very talented people right now. I trust my current team 100%. And whenever I have to onboard a new person, I just make sure that that person that's new to the company is works with as many of the current people as possible. And then I'll just ask my current people, how do you feel this person is
Mm.
when they serve the customer? And because I trust my current team, their feedback can directly tell me or give me the information I need in addition to the things that I feel to decide whether this person's right for the company. It's a
Mm.
very personal, it's a very human process right now. And I think that it's very crucial in the stage that we are at because 2 million is a lot if you ask me, having just started this company. But now that I'm here, I'm realizing that there are a lot of companies out there that are doing so much more than me. And even if I'm like fully optimized and doing exceptionally well with my current systems, if I don't grow, the kind of money I'd be able to draw from the company would be probably equivalent to what I would be making if I worked as hard as I did over the last 9 years at a proper company. So at the stage that I'm at, the very human, the very personal processes that I have are I think what allowed me to get here.
So the biggest asset in your whole company, you would say, is the people that you have, the team.
The people that I have, absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of things in this company that are valuable if you look at it from an objective standpoint, but in my personal opinion, in my heart, like if there's one thing that could disappear overnight, right? And if everything disappeared overnight and only one thing was left, and I had to rebuild this whole thing, the thing that I would want is my team to still be here.
How do you retain those talents?
I think that by trying my best, I think that's really the only way I can put it. Once again, I don't really have a lot of very businessy education, or I don't really know how to put things in a very corporate way. But how I like to think about retaining employees is just making sure that they have a place to work where they are fulfilled and content when they carry out their work. And when they go home after they finish work, they can go home to a place where they don't have to be stressed about money or worry for their family. And I think if I can provide that as an environment, provide that environment as a business owner and as a leader, as a boss, then I'd like to think that my people have a place that they want to stay at.
It really moved me when I read one of the articles where
Yeah.
I think one of your technicians wanted to bring his
Uh-huh.
wife to Singapore.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I forgot the name. What's the name? Yeah, and then
Rahman, right?
Ramadan. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Amos
Mm.
help him like do all the stuff, right? Find the house, settle all the admin stuff. Brought his wife to Singapore to have a stable life, enjoy Singapore's experience and all this. I think that part really moved me because it really show how much you guys care about the team, the people that you have, even to the extent of to their family and the children, the kids, and all this. There's so much effort. Wow.
I think it's my duty. I think my brother and I think that we are a very small company. I I've met people who are around the size that we are, and they're not very pleasant people to be around just because they think that they're big and successful now and they don't have to care about the people around them. And I think a lot of them forget that it's the people around them that got them where they are. Like as smart as I want to think that I am, or as smart as anyone wants to think that they are, it's not possible for you to really get anywhere unless you have your team supporting you or your customers supporting you. So yeah, just be a good human being.
Be kind.
Yeah, just be kind.
Just don't be an asshole. Be
Yeah,
kind.
exactly. Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
somehow
so
that's like a hard concept to grasp for some people.
yeah. And when you have a team of 20 plus people and you're very young, right? You're 26 now. And most of your technicians are older than you.
All of them. Oh, wait, no, except one.
Everyone. How old is the exception one? Was it hard to get your staff, your technicians to respect your decisions or your role as a CEO of the company because you look young to them? How do you navigate this?
So yes and no.
Hmm.
Yes, in the earlier days when the people around me were very different. No, right now. So I'll unpack that a little bit. So it was no in the early days, but I think a lot of it was also because of an internalized insecurity from myself, because having a business that doesn't really do that well, that sometimes struggles to even make payroll, I think I led the company with kind of the attitude and the aura, I don't know, that I didn't really know what I was doing. So I think it is fair for an employee of a company where the leaders cannot confidently provide them a safe space to work. I think it is fair for those employees to not 100% be on the side of their boss. Does that make sense? Because the boss cannot confidently say that they are 100% there for them. I think it's no now because when the people come up to me, whether it's during the interviews or after they've been working here for some time or when they are looking for a raise, I am younger than them, but I can confidently tell them how I can lead them towards what they want in life and if this is the place for them to achieve the things that they want. And because I'm confident in those aspects, I think it allows them to sense that and kind of respect me as a boss despite being young.
Got it. And so in those early days, you were saying that you didn't know what you were doing. Can you
Yeah.
maybe unpack, like, what do you mean? Is it because you were lost? You don't know what business
So
direction you were heading, or like,
yeah, absolutely. So I didn't know the kind of direction I want to take. If my employees ask me, so boss, like, why are we working towards? Like, all I knew was I needed to finish this project so that we had enough money to make payroll, for example. And it then kind of becomes a place where it's like working for money is great, but you kind of want to feel a sense of purpose as well, or a reason for why you're doing what you're doing. And if all your boss can tell you is, I don't know, just work and then so that we don't die this month, it I wouldn't be very happy as an employee either. So I get it.
oh, and this is what happened in the early days,
Yeah, and this is what happened, correct?
and that
Yes.
created misalignment, or maybe they didn't really trust uh, you fully because of the lack of sense of purpose of the
Mhm.
company, right? Other than that, did you face any like culture issue? Because I think you previously mentioned that not shaping company culture from day one was like one of your biggest mistakes. So, can you
Yes.
walk me through like a moment or an experience that this happened, and how do you fix that?
So in the early days, we were always a company that stood for nothing other than just fixing the thing. So if you asked me what I was doing, all I could really tell you was, "Oh, I'm fixing lights. I'm fixing toilets." That was really the extent of which we existed. And because of that, we had no real culture, or at least I didn't set out to create a certain culture. We didn't have any mission, we didn't have any vision. We stood for really nothing other than just doing the work. And because of that, every individual in the company, every employee, kind of just brought their own ideas, their own mindsets to the company. And some were good, some were bad, some were things that I didn't like, some were things that I liked. But because I never stepped in and said that this is what we stood for, I kind of just let a culture form itself, which I wasn't happy with. One which I feel in the early days didn't stand with the customer 100%. Right now, we really try to have a business that delivers value to our customers above all, but we weren't like that at the start. And that is why I have said that in the early days, I regret not having really tried to set and maintain a certain culture.
And how do you fix that? Because you already hired the people in the company and they realize that shit, my culture is like suck now.
Yes,
How do you fix
yes,
that? Yeah.
yes. We've had to let a few people go, which have also been the hardest things that I've had to do. Um, But yes, I've had to let people go that were just in complete misalignment with what I wanted to stand for and actively told me that they didn't want the culture that I wanted. And so the way which I changed the culture, or at least my brother and I changed the culture from where it was to where it is of course the people that didn't want to be a part of it were then no longer a part of it. But then the process of changing it from a place which it wasn't to the place that it is right now is just making sure that every single time something happens which doesn't align with our culture, we call it out and tell them exactly what we wanted to happen in the first place. And over time, and also through the documentation of these events, we then created this like guidebook, this thing which explained to the people that we had through action and through correction what we wanted in this company.
And that's how you slowly fix it over time.
That's how we fixed it over time, yeah.
I see. Was it really hard to lay off I don't know, when you were doing your first retrenchment or layoff or something, right?
So it wasn't a layoff or retrenchment. It was more of a, I think we both realized that if this was what they wanted
Hmm.
and we wanted something else, that it would be better for both parties if we weren't working on this together. Um, so it was very hard because this person that we laid off was someone that we were really, really close to. The person that we let go, essentially, he did a few things which were severely misaligned with what we wanted. It was the actions that he took like hurt us directly, and he was not at all apologetic about it. And he actively said that he would have done this again. So that's the reason he is not here anymore. But it was very hard because he was our first technical employee,
Hmm.
and he's also the person that I've grown quite close to over the many years of running this business.
I can imagine like back then you were also just started and this guy has been with you since the very beginning. How do you handle this confrontation or maybe tough conversation back then? Or maybe I don't know, like how are you handling this maybe after so long, right? You've gone through
Yeah.
different journey and ups and downs and all this. Through all these experiences, how are you handling tough conversation with your team now?
In the past, I just didn't deal with it. I just ignored it and hoped it went away. So that was a very, very bad thing that I did because it led to all of the problems that I had like all those years ago when I was trying to really turn the ship around. But right now, it's really just if I see something that I just don't think should be happening, I just deal with it personally myself. I don't delegate that. It's something that I think I owe the people I'm talking to the responsibility of being the person to tell them because we're still a very small team. And even small things, right? I think confrontation is a thing that a lot of people are averse to. And what I've come to realize is that if I'm confronting someone about something, it is because I genuinely want that person to be better in a way which I feel would make them better. So, me not confronting them about it and taking the time to kind of just sit on it is actually doing them a disservice. So, it's just something that I just had to get over. Like the fear of confrontation is a very big thing, and as a business owner that wants to build a successful business, it's just not something that you can allow to take over yourself. And let me just give you an example, right? Like a bit of a funny but quite clear example would be that. So at one point, one of my employees had
Like what?
bad breath, very bad breath, and it was very bad. But I never told them about it,
Hmm.
hoping that someday it'll magically go away. But and it took months and months and months, and it just never went away. And one day I was just like, I have to say something. I have to say something. And then I told them about it. And their first reply to me was, "Oh, why didn't you tell me sooner?" And that I think was the thing that snapped me out of it and made me realize that when I fear confrontation about a subject that is where my intent is to help the other person, I am genuinely doing both them and me a disservice by just letting my fear dictate my lack of action. So yeah, that was the catalyst that got me over it.
I think facing confrontation is one, but like giving
Hmm.
feedback is also an art sometimes. Like
It is an art, it's an art.
I mean, giving feedback is one thing, right? But I think the way you say it, how you say something also matters a lot. People may take it negatively based on what
Yes,
you say. How are you
yes,
giving feedback nowadays to make sure
yes,
that
yes,
what you say is what they receive, not the other way
yes.
around? Yeah.
Okay. I don't really try to craft the way I put things. Of course, I try to be respectful. In the best way that I know how. But I think that sometimes I do still come off in a way which offends the other person. And the good thing about when someone is offended is that it's generally quite clear that they are offended.
Mm.
Like they would avoid you or they try not to talk to you. And a lot of the times people won't then come up to you and say, hey, why you do this to me? They'll just kind of be silent and just check out mentally, right? So it's the way I correct that is just really being proactive in following up after my initial like feedback. And usually I try to give them like a timeline and like a step-by-step process when I give feedback. For example, I would say, I think you should do this in this way or say things in this way. So let's try this week. Next week I'll check in with you. Let me know what you think about how it has gone down with the people we've spoken with, and then we can discuss this again. Because I also acknowledge I'm not always right. So I don't generally give feedback in a very dictatorial manner.
Like you should do this, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a you must do this or you're fired. It's more of like
Mm.
a I strongly believe you should be doing this. I think this is in line with what our company is.
Mm.
Please just try it out for me for a week. And then let's see how it goes.
Love that. So it's a very clear call to action, and then also clear timeline to check in again to see the progress. So you mentioned, right, just now I hear um, doing your first letting go your first hire was like one of the toughest one. Beside this, was
Mhm.
there like what's the toughest moment in your
Mhm.
entire 9 years of building Repair.sg? Maybe a team decision or a near death experience that you haven't talked about publicly before.
I, I might have touched on it briefly, but I don't think I've
Mm,
really gone much into it. But when I let my that team member go,
mm,
um, I know we covered it just now, but that was also the hardest thing we've had to do because at the time that we did that, he was the person that was the most technically capable in the whole company. So losing him meant that I would lose a chunk of revenue that month. And going into that decision of letting him go, I knew for a fact that that would happen. But I my brother and I, we just sat together for I think a day or two, and we just really weighed all our options, and we kind of realized that it was a sucky option both ways. So the two options that we had was essentially keep this person and just let our culture be the way it is because has he doesn't want to change. So we would have a place that we don't like to work in, but it would be better off. Or second option is let this person go, lose a chunk of revenue, be even further in the red, and have to find a way to fight our way out before the month ends and we have to make payroll again. And eventually we settled on the second option just because we felt like we were dead either ways, right? If this company continued in a way which we didn't want it to be, we would lose interest and the company would die out. And but if we kind of risked it all and just bet on ourselves and our ability to turn the ship around with the I guess the cancer removed, then we still had a chance, right? It was really down to us then, because then we had all the power on our hands to change things, however low the odds were. So it was a very hard moment, and it was definitely the hardest moment for us.
well, I think I also want to learn more about throughout all these 9 years. Um, if you were to summarize and tell me the two biggest mistakes that you make, of course, and the learnings, right? When building Repair.sg, what are those two biggest mistakes you would say?
Other than the things I've already said just now, the number one mistake is definitely delegation. There's a business book that I recommend to anyone that's starting business. Like it's the only I don't like giving business advice. And this is the only thing I would say to anyone that wants advice from me, and that is um there's this book called the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. It's all about delegation. It's all about how when you build a business, you should build a business that can run without you and that you can sell. So detach yourself from the business so that you don't eventually become a slave to your own thing. You don't eventually just create a job, an exceptionally hard job, which you don't make money on, but with the shell of being a business owner. So delegation was a very big thing. For the start, for the 5, 6, 7 years, I definitely was in a place where if I wanted to take a break, the whole thing was dead. And I, it sounds so simple, like thinking back, but like I was stuck in a place where I was telling people that I'm a business owner, that I'm an entrepreneur, but really I'm just a very, very, very poorly paid employee that works way too much for my own business. So delegation is very, very important, and and the lack of it was the biggest mistake I ever made in this entire 9 years. Yeah. So the second mistake is I feel like this would be something that other people in the podcast would have said before, but so in the early days, I cared a lot about how the brand looked. I cared a lot about the website. I cared about a lot about the logo. I cared a lot about how people perceive the brand based on graphics and logos and pictures and words. But I eventually realized that we were such a small company, nobody cares. Like nobody's going to look up a, a handyman when they urgently need someone to fix a clogged toilet and say, oh wow, this logo is beautiful. That's the only reason I'm going to choose them. And yet I spent so much time just wasted on like design and logo and text and graphics. So that was a very big mistake. And what I should have done and what I do now is just focus on the things that actually provide value to my customers, which is having a reliable service at a good price that solves their problems. The logo, the image, the graphic, the brand, all that can come afterwards.
Out of curiosity, right? When do you realize that you should delegate? Otherwise, you die. Like, is there anyone told you that, or like because you read this book, that's why
I read a
you
book.
should
I read a book.
you read this book? Okay.
I read a book. So the turning point for a lot of this business was during the lockdown, like the COVID
Mm.
lockdowns. Of course, I think that period was the most painful, but I think everyone would say that that's the most painful. So uh, I shall not say that. But it was a time where I had a lot of time to myself to reflect. My brother too, and we kind of sat together a lot of times, so just thinking about everything that we built and how it wasn't really something that we were happy with. And we read a lot of books, we spoke with a lot of people, and then it was through those things where and having time to actually think that we realized that delegation was such a big thing. And also the other mistake, like when the lockdowns happened, I realized that the people at home cared that they have an aircon that's working so that their room can be cold, not that your logo is nice. So
Okay.
yeah, all of the real change, all of the real learnings and the real positive pivots that happened with our business happened because we had a lot of time to think during the lockdown.
So will you say lockdown is like one of the best time that happened to you somehow?
Yes, it was the worst and the
Yeah,
best.
worse than the best. How do you guys tank over? Yeah, I forgot to ask this. How do you tank over and survive that period of circuit breaker, lockdown? Literally, you couldn't even go to people's houses.
Yeah. Um, Two things. First thing is we were very lucky that the government was willing to um, pay for a large percentage of the salaries for the people that could not work. So that helped significantly because our labor cost is a very, very big component of our overall expenditure. And the second thing is during the lockdown period, right before the lockdown period, we wanted to grow the business. That was about the time where we realized that we wanted to go all in on this. And we were never a business that we don't have any funding. We never raised any money, but we decided to take a small loan to kind of use as working capital to grow the business. Right after that, I think like a week or two after that, lockdowns happened. And instead of going towards growing the business, that just went towards helping us sustain through that period. So it was a blessing and a curse, I guess. It was a blessing and a curse.
Given what you know now,
Mhm.
if you were to go back to 9 years ago, 16
Yeah,
years old kids,
yeah.
what would you do differently if you could start Repair.sg all over Okay.
Well, to be honest, like first of all, I wouldn't have offered the services that I offer. It's because it has took me 9 years of first. Okay, so the 9 years I was split it up into. I was just doing it for fun. Then I started offering the service. Then I went to it full time. But even when I was full time, it wasn't doing very well. And then eventually I decided to pivot it a little bit towards more B2B, more productized services. And then that is working for us now. But it took so many years of kind of just doing a lot of things that were in the space of property maintenance, but also at the same time not specialized in anything at all. We're just kind of doing whatever fell into that category. So if I were to start again in 2016 with all the knowledge that I had right now, then I would have specialized a lot more and then grew from there. I kind of just went into it thinking that we could be a one-stop shop for everything. And I think very quickly, or sorry, not very quickly, over way too long, over 7 years. It took me 7 years to realize that a jack of all trades is usually a master of none. And because I was a master of none, and yet I want to pay my employees more, and yet I want to take care of my customers better, I was just left with a business where I wasn't the best at everything, but yet I had the highest expenses for everything. So it was just not a very good business that I was working on. So but if I had specialized and dedicated my effort into being really good at one specific area of property maintenance, then I could have then definitely charge a better price, have much better margins, have a company where I can actually tell people what we stand for, and do a lot of things that I can do now a lot sooner without having to spend from my what was it even like my mid teenage
20,
years till
yeah.
my till I'm 24, 25 to figure out what are very, very basic lessons that I feel I should have known now looking backwards.
So essentially, it's just you would have just chosen a niche.
Yes, I would have chosen a niche.
Do you have mentors? Like, do you have
No, I
mentors
don't.
to now? What about now?
Now I definitely have people
Mm,
which I
mm,
would consider my mentors, like not
mm.
in an official.
Yeah, friends.
Yeah, more of like friends, like definitely friends that are a lot older than I am, a lot more successful than I am, that have definitely led me to a lot of the things that I have figured out over the last 2 years. And I am very, very, very thankful for them. And yeah, okay, I mean, if one more thing I would do different is I would find a mentor. So I would definitely find a mentor. Like I didn't read any like I didn't if I had a resource like yours, for example, when I first started, I would have been able to learn about a lot of businesses, why they worked, why they didn't work, and just go a little bit deeper into how things will run. So I think I have a lot of respect for what you're doing here because like 16-year-old me would have appreciated this so much. Like if I knew what I could find out now through resources like yours when I was 16 without a mentor, without friends in the industry, I feel like I would have gotten where I am happy with, where I am fulfilled a lot sooner.
Oh, that means a lot to me, man. But I mean, you're so young, right? You have so much time.
Yeah, I'm still young. Yes, yes, I'm still young. I'm still young. Yes.
I'm just wondering, right? Because you started so early, and as you see, during the first 5 years or 9 years, as you look around, all your peers were in corporate jobs, comfortable, stable job, good pay, maybe stable family, settle down, all this stuff, right?
Hmm.
How were you feeling? Like I'm quite curious when you look at your peers and then comparing them with what you were doing back then. How were you feeling, and how do you deal with that emotion personally?
Okay, so quite a number of things here. First of all, is to kind of paint a picture. I was always a very quiet kid. I don't speak much. I have always wanted to build my own thing since I was young because I've always kind of known myself to be the person who I believed would not go far in a corporate environment where I had to prove myself to others. because I always kind of kept to myself. So I kind of always felt that if I wanted to succeed in life, I would have to do it for myself by myself. So I've always wanted to run a business. And throughout the start of the business until up to, say, a year ago, 2 years ago, it was, I did not keep in touch with really anyone at all from my schooling days. And even when I was in school, I graduated at the bottom of my cohort in Polytechnic, studying business, which is kind of ironic, because I didn't show up for classes because I wanted to be building my own thing instead. And I mean, I'm lucky that that paid off, but those decisions also meant that I wasn't really ever close with anyone. And my best friend throughout, like basically most of this journey, is my brother, because he did this with me. And so it's really just the both of us trying to figure out what we thought was best, and then just doing that, and then going from there. So of course there was a lot of ups and downs. There was a lot of times where it was very hard, but the great thing is that I had my brother with me, and I think I am so blessed, like, to have a brother that enjoys doing what I do with me, and I can share all of these struggles and success and pain and difficulty with. Because if not for him, I honestly don't know how I would have handled a lot of it. So the simple answer to your question is I just really by being there for my brother and my brother being there for me.
For those young
Mm-hmm.
founders who are listening right now, who also want to start their own businesses, right? Any business, right? Could be tech or could be traditional business. Like, what's the one piece of advice you would give to them before they start?
Read
Read
E-Myth.
the book.
Read the book, read the book, read the book.
Okay,
Read the book,
okay.
follow the book. That's all.
Just
That's
follow
all.
the book. Okay.
Basically, okay, to summarize the book is, okay, three things. Number one is offer a product or service that can be duplicated and systemized so that it can be fulfilled without you. That's number one. Number two, what a customer values is the value you bring them, not how nice something looks. Number three, make sure that you spend time working on the business and not just in the business. Because if you spend all of your time working in the business, you're just an employee to your own thing. So that is all I would say.
Crazy. 100% with it. I'm also learning, actually. Yeah. Even the newsletter that I'm running now is just me solo with a freelancer. I'm just trying to learn from you the art of delegation, when and how I should delegate. Hopefully I don't kill myself before this thing could work out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's been a amazing journey so far. But yeah, I think before we wrap this off, final one, where do people find you online if they want to follow up with you on anything? What's the best place for them to find you?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn and message me there, or you can find me on Instagram. It's just my name and my surname, Zames Chiu. So yeah, I might reply a bit slow. Like yeah, but I will reply. I will reply.
Which channel are you most active on nowadays? IG?
Instagram, yeah, IG.
Okay.
Yeah. I rarely open my LinkedIn app, and every time I open it, I feel so bad because like I
Because you have
have
so
like
many DMs,
20,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, out there.
yeah.
Yeah. Understand. How can our listeners be useful to you or to your business?
I think your audience is mainly like business owners and people who want to be business owners, right?
Mainly, but you never know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, of course, I offer a service which is something which almost everyone, if you live in a home, you work in an office, you need the services that I offer. So I would appreciate if they gave my company a shot. But I think more importantly, as people who want to be business owners and entrepreneurs and build their own thing, I think what would bring me a lot of value over the long term, over the course of my life, is for them to build something meaningful that delivers value to people. And as a result, help us forge a society of businesses that actually care for people instead of just seek to exploit the next opportunity. And I think that will allow us to have a more vibrant, a more caring, a more loving environment in this country. And I think that would make me very happy.
It's so good, man. I mean, this after doing all the episode, the podcast, this is the first time I heard that, when I asked the last
Uh-huh.
question, the one that I asked, right?
Uh-huh.
This is the first time I heard you wanted them to do something good for the society.
Really?
Other
Okay.
than the businesses that you are running. Of course, that's important too, but then you
Uh-huh.
also cover
Yeah.
the societal good part, social cause. Um,
Mm.
I love it, man. I really love how you put so much
Thank you.
care
Thank you.
to people around you, the team, just the society as a whole. Do good, add value, help people, be kind.
Hmm.
These are something that I learned from your sharing as well. But yeah, I mean, thanks so much for the time and sharing, man. Really appreciate that. Learn so much about
Thank you for your time
that
too. Thank
from.
you for your time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.